Welcome to the journey of Passion Prayer, where we explore the profound moments that shaped the faith of the disciples and the world. Let's dive in and discover the transformative power of prayer through the eyes of those who walked with Jesus. A foretaste. The first experience the disciples had of Passion Prayer came on the Mount of Transfiguration. There, Jesus had gone to pray in the company of his three inner circle disciples, Peter, James, and John. This was 8 days after Peter had accurately identified him as the Son of God. Before this time, they'd watched him feeding 5,000 men, not including women and children, with just 5 loaves and 2 fishes. They'd even gone out on his instructions to preach the gospel and heal the sick. They'd witnessed the wind and wave obey his command, a demon-possessed man healed, a girl restored to life, and a woman dramatically healed of a 12-year-old sickness. They'd seen the son of the widow of Nain raised to life on the way to the cemetery. They'd learned so many beautiful parables and received so many teachings, and the news of their exploits was spreading like wildfire. The messengers of John the Baptist, the hotshot prophet in the country, had come visiting, and even Herod the king was dying to meet him. So the disciples had seen it all, or had they? Let's take up the story from Luke chapter 9, verses 28 to 31. Now it came to pass, about 8 days after these sayings, that he took Peter, John, and James and went up on the mountain to pray. As he prayed, the appearance of his face was altered, and his robe became white and glistening. And behold, 2 men talked with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his decease, which he was about to accomplish in Jerusalem. This was a new dimension for the disciples. Jesus prayed, and even physical objects, such as his clothes, began to change. One can even say his prayers were so powerful that 2 of the most renowned prophets who ever walked the earth were magnetized from heaven to the scene of this profound event. And that was not all. Even the voice of God thundered from heaven to confirm what the disciples had already figured out themselves. "This is my beloved Son, hear him." Mark chapter 9, verse 7. Later, the disciples were to learn more about the aftershock of that prayer on the Mount of Transfiguration. Apart from attracting heavenly visitation and altering physical objects, it had also released great power to accomplish things that had seemed impossible for them before. The very next day, they were suddenly confronted by a situation which had stumped them in the past. A man brought his demon-possessed child to the disciples for healing. In times past, the disciples had successfully faced up to this kind of assignment. Having received power previously to cast out demons and heal the sick, this should have been a no-brainer. They knew all they needed to know about casting out demons, but this case proved stubborn. They tried all they knew. Nothing worked. Coming down from the mountain, they were faced again with this situation, but things were a little different now. Jesus was in the house, and this matter was quickly disposed of, to the amazement of all present. They now began to think, what could possibly account for their failure here? They had preached, cast out demons, healed countless number of sick folks, and learned at the feet of the Master himself. Yet there was something missing, they could tell. He himself told them that some difficult cases needed to be addressed by the combined weapons of prayer and fasting. Teach us to pray. They now remembered he never attempted to start his ministry until he'd gone into the wilderness to fast and to pray. They remembered that he'd come down from a long night of prayer to choose 12 out of the many that followed him to be his disciples. They also remembered how he told them to pray even for their enemies, not to mention the experience on the Mount. Clearly, prayer had something to do with this. At the next opportunity, as he was praying yet again in a certain place, they mustered up enough courage to make the request that had been on their mind for some time. "Lord, teach us to pray." And so the teaching began, and it continued. In words and in action, he taught them. And he continued right up to the very end. At the Garden of Gethsemane, on what is commonly referred to as the night of his passion, he compressed all the principles he had been teaching them into one final prayer and left us an enduring legacy, which has continued to be used in dramatic new ways through the ministry of the Holy Spirit. He confirmed this in John 16:12-13. "I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. However, when He, the Spirit of truth, has come, He will guide you into all truth. For He will not speak on His own authority, but whatever He hears He will speak, and He will tell you things to come." At last the disciples were beginning to fully realize the universal significance of all that the Lord had taught them about prayer, especially after the Holy Ghost, the promised Spirit of truth, came on the day of Pentecost. They were soon to discover that the Lord's teachings on prayer had day-to-day practical applications, and as they were controlled and led by the Spirit, new areas of opportunity began to open up, and they found themselves doing greater works just as the Lord had promised them.